Yes.
Okey-doke. Welcome, live stream viewers. We are excited that you're here today because, as we all know, these are kind of crazy times. There's a lot of stress, a lot of fear going on out there. And my guest today, Joy White Peacock, who is here with me, we'll be talking about how to live a life with less stress and more joy. And we're going to be giving you some real tips for what to do during these times so that you don't get caught up in the frenzy and the fear. So please stay with us. Joy, would you like to say a quick hello to everybody?
G'day. I'm best known for clearing stress in 3 minutes or less, and we are devoting the show to the stress around coronavirus at the moment. So if you're feeling a little tense about the pandemic that's been declared, tune in. We've got some help for you.
Yes, we do. And we are about to start the show, and Joy will be joining us in just a little bit.
Tired of the rut you're stuck in, but don't know what to do?
Change it up. Join life transitions therapist, speaker, and best-selling author Paula Shaw. She'll be exploring topics that make change and the challenge it presents smoother and more productive. She'll also be spotlighting change makers who are leading the charge to make the world a better place. If you're ready to live a more exciting life, at home, in the workplace, and around the world, it's time to step out of your comfort zone and change it up. Now, here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome to Change It Up Radio, here with Paula Shaw. I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to be talking about something really important. As most of you know, Change It Up Radio is a show that's always dealing with change. We're either spotlighting change makers who are trying to make the world a better place, or we're bringing you information to try to help you deal more effectively and smoothly with change and upheaval. And right now, there's a lot of change and upheaval going on in the world as a result of this pandemic with the coronavirus. And I think it's important to talk about because it's affecting everybody on one level or another. I'm calling the show today Code to Joy. I actually borrowed that title from a couple of friends of mine who wrote a book called Code to Joy, George Pratt and Peter Lambro. And in it, they talk about ways to remain joyful even when that around you is going crazy. And that's what we really are looking at today. We really want to remember that no matter what is going on in the world, we can't control what happens in the world. We can't even control what happens in our individual worlds except what we do ourselves. We are always at choice in how we respond to the world or react to the world, preferably respond, because that embodies that we're doing something choicefully, not just reacting out of fear or out of panic or out of any other emotion that's not productive. So I want to talk to you today seriously about those issues that are going on in the world and how we can cope better with them. And my guest, who will be joining us shortly, is an expert at that. She is an expert at helping people live with more joy and less stress. So, first of all, I'll share something from my own life. I am supposed to be, or shall I say, I was supposed to be on a jet next Thursday heading to India for a meditation retreat at an ashram. And I have been for a long time really looking forward to doing that. And Monday night, was it? Yes, Monday night, I really started thinking about, the emotional urging, shall I put it that way, from my children, who were reminding me that they're down to one parent now, and they like her, fortunately for me, and they like her around. My own parents, who are in their 90s and have been through a lot of stress dealing with my sister's health challenges this year. And my extended family, they were all urging me to be very careful, think about this carefully. And then the final capper was my doctor actually reaching out to me. She's Indian, by the way, and saying, I urge you not to go and to listen to your daughter. And I thought, well, that's as clear as it gets. And I had been asking for signs, like so many of us do when we need to make an important decision. And that was the final sign I needed. So I called my children. We had a wonderful conversation because they were so happy I'd made that choice. And the next day had a tearful conversation with my parents, who were thrilled and totally delighted, who in tandem both yelled, "Praise the Lord," when I told them I wasn't going. But then, just in case I decided to renege on the deal, I think God just sealed the whole thing by having India close their borders. So there was a change I was not totally expecting, and one that caused a certain level of upheaval. But I needed to make that change. I needed to make that choice. And that's happening to a lot of us right now. Things are being canceled left and right. We don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. I was just talking with my producer, and she was telling me here at the studio there are events that different shows were having that are being canceled. It's all up there now, right? Here's what I want to urge you all. This is a time now to use our tools. And I want to share a few tools with you about how to stay grounded in the moment and stress-free right now, rather than getting caught up in what's going on in the world. Because it's so easy, isn't it? Like, for example, we've got this virus. So we have a choice. Because remember, we're always at choice, no matter what. We are always at choice. So choice number one, take precautions, be safe, and then, don't take chances. Like, obviously, it wouldn't have been a smart idea for me to jump on an international flight next week, even if I had been able to. Be cautious, take precautions, but then focus on joyful, calming, peaceful things that make you happy, that light you up. Don't obsess on finding the news online or watching every news show. Then you're taking your focus totally to that frightening thing. And what happens when we're in a state of stress? We all know stress compromises our immune systems. Stress is the enemy. We've even looked at scientific evidence that stress is behind cancer. So the last thing we all need to do right now is increase our stress level. There's enough going on with all the unwelcome, unexpected change that we're having to deal with now. So let's do what we can to lower our stress levels. So here are a few tips I would like to share with you. First of all, you want to get grounded in your reality. Don't get caught up in being in this global perspective that may not be impacting you at all. So the first question to ask yourself is this real in my world? Is this an issue right here, right now in my life? And another little tool that I love that I really want to stress to you now is, panic and anxiety often come from the what if questions, right? Like, what if I get sick? What if I get quarantined? What if I can't work? But instead of going to the what if questions, which tend to prompt anxiety and fear, let's look at what is. What is I'm healthy today? What is I can work today? What is I have food in my cupboard and plenty of toilet paper, by the way? What is? That's what we want to focus on, because so often what is in our worlds is fine. But when we go to what if, those creative minds of ours can scare us a lot. So let's stay in what is, not what if. Other tools that can be really helpful for you are just simple things like holding these 2 points right here. These are the lung alarm points. They're right in front of your armpit. If you were to lift your elbows, you'll feel a hollow there. And as you hold those points, because they're powerful acupuncture points, just simply say to yourself, I release any fear I have about the coronavirus. Or I release fear that there won't be enough food. I release fear that I won't be able to get the supplies I need. Whatever it is that you're feeling fearful about, you can release while holding these powerful points, and that can do a lot to calm you. Another one that I really like is called square breathing. Because remember, when we start to get panicky and anxious, one of the problems is that we cut the supply of oxygen to the brain, and that creates symptoms that are unpleasant. Shortness of breath and difficulty focusing and a lot of things that really scare people when they're having a panic attack. So square breathing looks like this. You breathe in to the count of 4, hold to the count of 4, release to the count of 4, hold out to the count of 4. Let's do that again. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. Hold out, 2, 3, 4. This breathing method is good for a lot of reasons. First of all, it gives oxygen to the brain, which it needs. It gives you something to focus on. You're focusing on counting, so that will take your focus off whatever it is that is scaring you. It's very powerful in helping us to calm the system, and when the system is calm, we can see everything so much more clearly. Remember, everybody, the less stress we have, the higher our vibration, the stronger our energy field, the stronger our immune system. So I really want to encourage you to get proactive, get busy working on fun, work on joy, work on de-stressing, focus on the things that light you up. Watch puppies, watch babies, watch videos of them if you don't have any around the house, but actively focus on those things that will bring you more joy and less stress. Speaking of which, the expert in those areas will be joining me in the next segment. Stay around to meet Joy White Peacock. She has come back from the dead 6 times to teach us what she's got to teach us today. We'll be right back.
More Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Hi, Paula Shaw here. I'm so delighted to share with you that LifeWave has become our newest sponsor on Change It Up Radio. My family and I all use their tiny wearable patch technology, and the results are life-changing. My sister had lupus for over 20 years and has never slept well. Now she does. My mom's frozen shoulders simply went away. My favorite is the age-reversing X39, a patch engineered to activate stem cells. Yeah, it's true. They really work to improve how you look, feel, perform, and heal. LifeWave patches use a patented form of phototherapy using frequencies of light to safely boost health and wellness at the cellular level with no drugs. Learn more online by visiting lifewave.com. That's lifewave.com.
For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And I am delighted in this segment to introduce to you my freezing cold guest, because I have shared with you before the studio where we do the show. I fondly call Ice Station Zebra, and today it was a little icier than usual even.
Yes.
And so I've got a little icicle Joy White Peacock joining me today. The lovely Joy is a stress and trauma expert. She's actually an ex-corporate executive and an accidental shaman. I can't wait to ask her about those things. She's had 6 near-death experiences, and each time she returned with additional healing gifts, which she now uses to help people with reprogramming the brain for optimal levels of productivity and living a joyful, more joyful, less stressed life. So without any further ado, let's start talking to Joy, because we've got a lot to learn from her. Hi, Joy.
G'day, Paula. Thanks for having me on. Hello, everyone. Because you were just talking about don't fall into stress, I want to actually teach you why we automatically respond with the kind of panic that we're seeing with the coronavirus. It's because our primitive brain centers, when we go into any kind of stress, 80% of the blood leaves the forebrain, taking all cognitive thought with it. See, our primitive brain centers were designed to operate when we're being chased through the jungle by a saber-toothed tiger. This is the perfect thing to do. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be able to think. You need your fight, flight, and freeze in full roar. And so that's what our brain centers still do. They just dump all of the stress chemicals and off we go. There's no more room for thinking. But when we're looking at a pandemic, especially one like this, dropping into automatic stress reaction is the worst thing that we could do. And the reason it causes us to be sick and opens us to catching this virus or anything else is because with a saber-toothed tiger, it wasn't a problem. One way or another, the stress would be very short-lived. But in today's day, with everything that's going on, all we ever have to do is turn on Facebook or the radio or, God forbid, the television, and instantly we are dropped into stress, and there's no time to reset. And so our immune system starts to wear out. Our adrenal system goes on overwhelm. I've been treating adrenal overwhelm really intensely, left and right all year.
Yeah.
So this is what you can do to help you have a composed response to stress instead of an automatic stress reaction. Now think about when you were thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Our hand automatically goes to our forehead when we are having a really stressful time. This is your body's way of saying, keep your hand there. So put your hand on your forehead just for a few moments. In fact, I'm a specialist in clearing stress in 3 minutes or less. So I want you, can we have a look at what the time is? You're going to hold your hand on your forehead for 3 minutes, and you can make it comfy. Stick your leg up, do whatever it takes.
Oops, we can't hear you when you're far away
sorry.
from life.
Make yourself comfortable and hold these points. The points that you're holding are neurovascular holding points that affect blood circulation. The reason that our body's automatic response is hand to forehead under stress is because when we hold these points, we are preventing blood from leaving the forebrain and sending us into that automatic stress response. The experts at Brain Gym call these your positive points because we really do feel more positive and calmer after just a few minutes of holding these points.
And I think it's important to remind everybody, Joy, we're always putting energy out from the palm chakras and the fingertips. We're always putting energy out. So when we do this, we are putting energy out from our hand that's impacting those points you're talking about.
Literally, we are, the electromagnetics from the hand are rebalancing us. So yeah, it's all good. this will actually help you not only stay out of stress, but it will help you feel more peaceful. It will help you think more clearly. It will help you visualize more thoroughly. It's just a delightful thing. And even if all you do when you're thinking about a stress is hold these points, that alone will begin to clear the stress, because chances are it's the first time you thought about it with actual blood in your forebrain. And right now everybody is in automatic stress reaction, and this will put anybody who chooses to do it in a state of stress response, so that you have control when everybody else is losing their minds. If you are doing just this, holding these points here, if you're going to do it with your fingers, then make sure you've got a neutral touch, thumb and fingers, but it's easier just to do this. You have an advantage over everybody in the room.
Especially if you were to lay back, actually lay down or lean back on your sofa and give yourself 3 minutes of relaxation as well.
Doing some square breathing.
Yep. And 3 years ago, I came up with something I called head and heart breathing, which was this, but then touching the thymus point, which is a powerful point.
Yes.
And it was very interesting because men seem to like one hand on the forehead and another hand here better than women who seem to like the other hand. It was really interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
I tried it with a lot of different people. So when you're doing this breath or this touch that Joyce just described to you, and if you want to add the thymus point, which is right here in the upper chest, try doing it with one hand for about a minute or so, and then switch and see what works better for you.
Yeah, but there's no point you're holding your third eye, you're not doing anything.
No.
These and most people, these points are between the hairline and the eyebrows, and they're quite raised. Mine are, look, see. And so these points are the ones that you want to hold. Not here, not here. It's like your brain is a massively sophisticated bioorganic supercomputer.
Yeah.
And if you push the wrong buttons, it's going to create a different result. So these are the buttons that you want to push. These are neurovascular holding points that affect blood circulation. And that is how you prevent yourself from losing your mind just because everybody else is.
Thank you, Joy.
You're
that
welcome.
was really cool and much needed. And I think now, and we have had our 3 minutes, so if you were holding those points,
how are you feeling?
Take a breath right now. Yeah. Ask yourself how you feel.
Yeah, are you feeling calmer?
I know I am. That's good.
Yeah.
I think I'll open the show from now on,
There you
just
go.
doing this. So, Joy, tell everybody, what's the backstory? How did you become this person you are today? What happened first?
What happened first? Well, the first time I died, I was 15. I flew off a cliff on a motorbike and died for 2.5 minutes on the operating table. And doctors said they would have to amputate my leg, that I'd never walk again. I told the doctor I'd not only walk, I'd dance on his grave. And that's how I became a ballroom silver medal dancer.
Get out.
Yeah, no.
I love that. There's determination.
This story is relevant because everybody was so focused on my leg that nobody noticed 13 displaced vertebrae in my spine. And so it took me 7 years to learn to walk again, and I got deep into business, loved making money. I was really, really good at it. And so I persuaded my husband at that time to go to Australia so that I could be a smaller fish in a bigger pond, because I'm from New Zealand. And a couple of months later, I was hit by a drunk driver. And
you were what age?
I was 24.
Wow.
And I was just like, I was
at your peak.
I was. I was. And I went from being at my peak to not being able to walk or stand for more than a few minutes, or speak without stuttering, or pick up a glass with my left hand, because I lost 70% of the strength in the left side of my body. I couldn't raise my arms above my shoulders.
Wow.
But the biggest challenge that I had was any time I went into any kind of stress, the soft tissue would swell at the base of my neck. Blood would stop going to my brain, and I would have about 3 minutes before I blacked out. And I never knew whether I would wake up from any of the blackouts, and I was blacking out multiple times a day because it was an extremely stressful time. And
it's sort of like that downward spiral, right?
It was,
One thing leads to the
absolutely.
other.
I didn't know how to do this yet.
Yeah, how do you turn it around?
Yes, exactly. So all of a sudden, everything that I had was gone, and I walked with death for 18 months. We got to be really good mates. He taught me how to live. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you don't know whether or not you're going to see the end of the day, it changes how you
I would imagine.
prioritize stuff.
Your
you know?
perspective's got to be
All of my
dramatic.
priorities had been around making millions and owning my homes and all of these things. And suddenly, you know, when you take it to God as a sum total of, hey, well, this is what I achieved, it just didn't look so crash hot anymore. So I searched until I found something that I would be proud to take to God.
And what was that?
I make each life that I touch more joyful. And that was what I founded my life on. So I became a world expert on clearing stress in 3 minutes or less because it was that or die. After a couple of years, I could no longer use my frontal lobes because each blackout created an oxygen deprivation, which created an oxidative stress wall in my forebrain. So I could no longer think forward or remember back, and that's why doctors wrote me
right
off.
there, Joy. I'm going to have to think forward for a moment because we've got to take a break. So let's leave them on the edge of their seats, finding out how you came back from a frontal cortex that was starting to go dark and not
Autistic
work
frontal
at all.
lobes.
Yes. All right, and we'll hear what Joy did after this break. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
If you could rebuild your health on a solid foundation, would you do it? Do you have health issues that doctors just can't get to the bottom of, and all they do is prescribe pills to lessen your symptoms? Would you like a better way? Certified FDN practitioner Desiree Lawn founded Autoimmune Health Freedom because she struggled with health issues from childhood that could not be explained. Today, she lives a vibrant life, free of aches and pains and full of energy to enjoy activities with her family. The life you would like to live. How did she do it? Autoimmune Health Freedom has the tools you need. For a free discovery session, call 858-248-1657 or go to autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. That's autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. Yes, you can feel better again. You can rebuild your health. You can have the life you want. Call 858-248-1657.
Desiree Lawn is not licensed by the state of California as a healing arts practitioner.
Is living in today's fast-paced world making you feel stressed and out of balance? Are anxiety, sleeplessness, depression, lack of focus, or weight gain robbing you of your relationship and your energy? If you're ready for change, you need to call Paula Shaw. Paula helps you identify and eliminate self-sabotaging thinking and behavior. Using a wide variety of mind-body techniques, she provides her clients with the most effective processes for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
So,
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio, here with Paula Shaw, and in studio with me today is Joy White Peacock, who is an expert on stress and joy. She's working with us today and teaching us how to have less stress and more joy. And in the
3
last
minutes or less.
in 3 minutes or less, that's right. In the last segment, we did a process with Joy that really did help calm in 3 minutes or less. It was actually 3 minutes. And now she is telling us kind of the backstory of how she evolved the skills that she works with today. And if you weren't with us in the first segment, she told us that the first time that she died for 2.5 minutes on an operating table, she was only 15. And then she was, were you hit
I was
by a drunk
24
driver?
when I was hit by the drunk driver.
24, she was hit by a
And
drunk
it
driver.
reactivated all of the injuries from the bike accident at 15.
Ah.
So that's why it was so serious.
And then you were telling us that your frontal cortex was beginning to misfire. It wasn't functioning correctly.
Well,
right?
sort of, kind of. Basically, every time I went into stress, I would black out. I would have about 3 minutes before I blacked out, and each blackout was causing an oxidative stress wall in my forebrain, so I could no longer use my frontal lobes, which is how we think forward and remember back. So the doctors gave up on me. And so I started studying holistic medicine, and I'm certified in more than a dozen different healing modalities, and way more than that, because I never stopped learning. As I went through all of these different modalities, I uncovered these amazing skills and tools, like how to clear stress from the body in minutes, how to dissolve emotional trauma painlessly, how to enjoy change. I learned how to reprogram the neurological pathways of my brain to bypass all of the injuries. And in doing so, I accessed, and I think from, a part of my brain that I didn't even realize was there. But I mean, of course, we only use a small part of our brain. So that's how I inadvertently turned myself into a shaman. I absolutely didn't see that coming. But
so you, without any training or without reading a book, figured out basically that neuroplasticity existed, and you just not figured out, but you trained your brain.
I learned all of these different modalities, and I took the best from each.
Oh, and that's what
I travel the world teaching these, because people don't have a decade to spend and enormous amounts of money in order to be able to learn all of these places. These things that I learned should be taught in grade school. Mm-hmm. And they were squirreled away in these esoteric places where nobody, unless they have huge amounts of money and enormous blocks of time, could ever find. And that sucks. And so to make everything that happened to me make sense, I took all the best bits, and that's what I teach. Mm-hmm. And they work because these are the tools that I used to survive a very challenging situation. But how I reprogrammed my brain is by I thought new thoughts. You can reprogram your brain by thinking new thoughts. You were saying about, just think joyful thoughts. That's not always easy,
right?
And so, if you have a look at the programs that your brain has got running currently, you might be like me and notice, not all of these are for my highest good, because in our first frame references before age 7, that's where most of our belief systems are formed, and we never think to question them. We know that our thoughts change, but we don't think about our thought. Our belief is just a thought that we accepted as true. So I started examining my beliefs and my thoughts, because the thoughts that I had now in a body that no longer could do any of the things that it was doing before, well, I tried to kill myself and that didn't work. And so I killed the dreams and the person that I was, and I built a whole new one from the ground up. And in doing so, I had the opportunity to look at who I was and who I wanted to be rather than who I was. But that's a whole other story. Right now I want to focus on what I was doing at 30 instead of being vegetative, because I think up and look down. When I look at a person, a problem, a business, a situation, I don't see the problem right in front of me. I see the issue and the solutions and what went into creating it on multiple realms and dimensions. And to me, that is really clear. I can't look at it from here, but I look at it from here. So at 30, I had co-created Australia's first end-user computing support organisation. I was advising state and federal government. I was the first individual ever to be nominated for an IT&T Excellence Award, because that was easy for me, much easier than it was easier for me to create an entire industry in Australia to support me than it was for me to figure out my computer. So basically, I'm an idiot savant. In the tests that they did after the accident, I have the frontal lobes of an autistic child. And for everything that people consider very simple, but for things that people consider very difficult, I test as above genius, because I have a very different kind of brain that allows me to see things that most people can't, because I can't see things most people can.
Wow. So what did you do with this new and improved 3.0 brain?
Well, see, my life process is about continually evolving into the next grandest version of myself. Mm-hmm. So I am always pushing my brain and always learning because you can. I mean, your brain is this massively sophisticated bioorganic supercomputer, and I learned when I treated it like that, I got a whole lot more mileage out of it. So now I teach people how to reprogram their brains for optimal levels of productivity and joy.
So one of the issues that we're dealing with today, that we've been talking about today, a lot of people get caught up in the news, in the hype, in the emotion, in the collective consciousness
Yes.
that now is all over the world. And they don't have years, and they may not have the skills to figure out what you did. What can you advise them to do right here today, right now, that would be helpful?
You can go to my website, experiencejoy.com, and I will give you a 15-minute video that shows you how to relax instantly, keep a clear head no matter what's going on, and clear stress from your body. So go grab that video. Oh, and if you subscribe, I'll send you a new tool to help you live more joyfully and less stressfully in 3 minutes or less every week.
And the website address again?
Experiencejoy.com.
Okay.
You can remember that. So if you want to be more joyful, if you want to be more peaceful, if you want to be more productive and effective in absolutely everything that you're doing, here's something so simple and fun. Fill yourself with peace, for example. Fill yourself with, as Paula was saying, with peaceful, joyful thoughts and puppies and babies and whatever floats your boat. Fill yourself until you are joyful, and it streams from you and flows from you and blesses the people all around you. That's actually the fastest way to giving yourself what it is that you need, and giving from the overflow is the most powerful, potent, productive thing you could do for any relationship you have, any project that you have, because so many are giving from a place of if I could just give, somebody's going to give something back to me at some point. It doesn't work that way. I don't know if you've noticed, but it doesn't work that way. When we give ourselves what it is that we need, instead of waiting around for somebody else to give it to us, it takes the pressure off every relationship. It's magic. Give it a go.
It really is huge, isn't it? I think, that
It's the
whole,
exact opposite of what we're taught.
Exactly. Right. We're always trying to get, but giving is actually so much easier and so much more pleasurable
Yes,
and
but
joyful.
if you give to yourself first, which is we're taught, no, that means you're selfish, and all of these things, and people who are used to you giving to them first. I mean, I'm not saying ignore all of the important people in your life. No, that would be ridiculous. I'm saying include yourself as one of the most important people in your life, because what are the other people that are important in your life going to do without you? As your family said, don't leave us.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's up to us to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the people around us. And that's not an easy thing to do.
No. As I tell my clients all the time, if your well is dry, it doesn't matter how many people line up with their little tin cups, there's nothing to give.
Yes.
And yet, I think it's such a part of the way so many of us have been raised.
Programmed.
Almost this feeling of guilt if we want something for ourselves.
Yes. And it's a wonderful way to keep you suppressed and never living your... It is. Think about it. What do you get when you squeeze an orange?
Juice.
What sort of juice?
Orange juice.
Can you get pineapple juice when you squeeze an orange?
Nope.
No. What about banana juice? No. Because the orange can only give what it's got inside of it.
Right.
And when we're put in a situation and squeezed, and you have spent your whole life giving to everybody except yourself, chances are what's going to come out is going to be pretty dry and bitter. So juice up.
It's funny. I was raised in a home where the saying was God first, others second, me third.
Yeah.
And I have learned over the years that, well, yes, it's important to put God and others as in a place of importance in our lives. We have to be an equally important place.
Yes.
And I think when we come back from this break, that'd be kind of a great place to begin, because we're looking at a culture that suffers a lot of guilt about taking care of yourself. And really, that shouldn't be a source of guilt. It's our responsibilities. So when we come back from this break, Joy, let's talk a little bit about that as well.
Yes, there's so much to talk about.
All right. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Jack Gutman survived World War II and then returned home to the hardest fight of his life with PTSD and alcoholism. Now at age 93, he's a businessman and comedian, sharing his message of recovery and hope in his new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, helping our heroes and anyone who has experienced PTSD find happiness again. Get Jack Gutman's new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, at Amazon.com. Or to order a signed copy, call 714-525-4954.
For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Sorry.
And then, welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. I am in studio today with Joy White Peacock, who is an expert in helping you live with less stress and more joy. And in our last segment, we were just saying how important it is to not forget yourself when it comes to who you're focusing on and who you're taking care of in your life, to include yourself as maybe right up there on the top of the list. Right, Joy?
Well, just have a think about this. How much more of a better parent or partner or friend or employee or whatever, how much more of a better person do you feel when you have what it is that you need and you're able to give from a place of fullness? How much more fun are you to be with? How much more do you like yourself? I believe, I've learned that the best gift that we can give the people that love us is a more joyful, happy, healthy us.
Yes.
Especially if we're parents, I mean, look at how we've been raised as women or as people, and how giving to everybody else has not necessarily served to create a happy, productive world.
Absolutely.
Our own world. So, yes, we want to be able to model. We want our children to grow up having what they need. Teach them how to give themselves what they need and give from the overflow. Teach them how it looks. I actually have a little tool that I use called Sacred Idleness Time. Sit. I'm going to invite you to ask, how much time do you need to give to yourself? Because we don't do this. What would be the optimal time? For some people, they say, like an hour would be wonderful. Maybe it's not, maybe 8 hours or whatever. But think about what it is that you need in order to be able to fill up so that you are juiced up like that wonderful, yummy orange. And then teach your children, okay, I'm having sacred idleness time yet, right, in this moment, and give that gift to them too. I remember coming out one day and I'm just, and my daughter saying, Mummy, have you had your sacred idleness time today? No, why? Live as an example. And let your children have that sacred idleness time too. Let your children have spaces where they can integrate everything that's happening in the day. I have a children's empowerment bedtime series that allows kids to clear their stress as well and gives them different tools that, because they're just as stressed and anxious as we are.
They pick up on our energy too.
They do, and they've got no way to discharge it,
Yes,
and
right.
it's important to be able to give our children time to integrate as well. So give them sacred idleness time. At the same time, you're giving yourself, make it a habit, and it'll be the best thing you did for yourself.
Oh, I love that. And speaking of doing for ourselves. We talked in the beginning about teaching them a method today. Well, we did use the neurovascular points method, but you have other
I have
methods
a gazillion tools.
for unstressing in 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So share that with us, Joy.
Well, with your permission, I'd like to, just for a moment, I want to share this tool, which too often we go, I'm stressed, okay? It's just, and we can't look at it, we won't look at it, and we don't look at it. This is not helpful. So what we're going to do right now, and you can relax, get comfy, put your hand on your forehead if you want to be able to visualize better. What we're going to do right now, if your stress around this coronavirus or whatever had a place where it lived in your body, where would it be? Just imagine that now. Go into your body. If your stress had a place in your body where it lived, where would it live? And if it had a color, what color would it be? What form does it take? Does it have a shape or a texture or a smell or a taste? The goal is to get as clear of an idea as we can about what that looks like, feels like in your body. And when you've done that, I want you to imagine taking this colored shape that is your stress, take it out of your body and put it over here in front of you where you can see it. When you've done that, take a deep breath. Now, I'm going to give you a wonderful present because it's Paula's show and you're all just fabulous. I'm going to give you a magic laser. And I want you to imagine picking up this magic laser and pointing it at the colored shape that is your stress and pulling the trigger and watching as a white light shoots out of the end of it and completely dissolves that shape, that colored stress. And when that's done, take a deep breath. And now go back into your body and look, has the stress changed color? Has it changed shape? Is it smaller? Is it lighter? Have another look. Get a clear grip on it. Take it out and do it again. And you're going to keep doing this until it is clear in there. And then you might have noticed that it's decreased. The most powerful way to do this is begin by measuring your stress levels on a scale of 1 to 100 so that you are able to assess, okay, just how much is this working? Where were you when we began? Where are you now? Has the stress levels dropped at all? 1%, 20%? And keep doing it until you're at 0 because you can. It takes a little practice and it's so worth it. Now, when you have the stress cleared, there's actually a little dial on the magic laser that you can turn it to cleansing and healing, and turn that on your body and watch as this beautiful healing extraordinary light comes out and cleanses that whole entire area until it's so clean and sparkly that you could almost eat your dinner off it. And when that's done, take another deep breath. And now comes the fun part. Are you ready for the fun part? If you could have any emotion at all living in your body instead of that terrible stress, what would you choose? Peace, abundance, love, joy, strength. What would you choose? What if that emotion had a color? What color would it be? What shape and form would it take? Imagine this emotion and the form that it takes as clearly as you can, and then put it into your body where the stress used to be and make it grow. Make it grow until this beautiful feeling, this wonderful emotion that you've chosen begins to fill that entire space. You can turn the dial on the laser to magnify if you wish and experience that feeling of whatever you've chosen filling your whole entire body until all of your organs and glands are perhaps floating in this wonderful feeling. Let it fill you until it flows down your arms and hands and legs and feet, tingling at your fingertips. Let it fill you until it pours from every cell and into this space, 10 feet around you in every direction. And when you have this wonderful feeling filling you and surrounding you 10 feet in every direction, then seal it in a magic golden sphere with you in the very center, utterly safe, completely protected, filled by and surrounded in this emotion you've chosen to give to yourself. So whenever you're stressed, all you have to do is imagine this shape, this color, this form, and place it into your body, and it will begin to ripple out. And if the stress is bad, go and take it out. Make sure that the space is clear. Make room for what you want to bring in, which is good advice for your life, actually, making room for what it is that you want to bring in.
Mm-hmm. And how perfectly full circle that brings us, because I began this show by saying we are always at choice.
Yes.
No matter what madness is going on around us, we're always at choice. And this method that you've taught us, I love, because we choose to identify the stress, we choose to put it out there, and then we choose to laser blast it and get rid of it. And then we choose to replace it with something desirable that feels good, that we wanted, that we chose.
Yes.
And then let that permeate everything.
Yes.
I love that whole idea, Joy, and I'm so grateful that in this day when so much is stressing so many people, that it happened that we were scheduled to have you today. It was certainly divine synchronicity.
Yeah. Good
Thank
on
you
God.
for all that you shared. That was extremely helpful for us today. Let's give them your website and contact info one more time.
Experiencejoy.com.
Experiencejoy.com.
Go get that video. I have so many tools and skills. I actually have a course called Clear Stress in Less Time Than It Takes to Find the Valium. And another one called Reprogramming Your Brain So Your Memories Can't Hurt You.
And thank you, Joy, for being with us. And thank you all for being with us.
Yes.
Please remember the things that we talked about today.
Yes, and if
hold
you would
your
like...
joy, hold your peace.
Yes.
And be sure and join us again on Change It Up Radio next week at this time.
And if you need more help, I'm available for one-on-one sessions, and I guarantee immediate positive results with all my work or overuse payment.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Change It Up with life transitions expert, speaker, and best-selling author Paula Shaw. Join the Change It Up movement with Paula Shaw as we explore topics that inspire, welcome change, and create a new kind of conversation. To learn more about Paula, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities, visit changeitupradio.com. Whether you're feeling happy, sad, mad, or glad, it never hurts to change it up.
The Facebook people and...
So Facebook live stream viewers, thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about and what we taught today. And Joy, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to leave them with?
So many. Yeah, come on over to my Facebook page and let's play. Come on over to experiencejoy.com and let me skill you up, because it's time to step up and skill up and help one another up.
Mm-hmm. We need tools. And by the way, along that line, I want to stress that my book here, Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End?, is filled with tools that will help with stress and angst. So please grab a copy of that. And remember the tools that Joy has shared with you, and more that you can find on experiencejoy.com. And I will be right here again next week, because I won't be in India. And I look forward to seeing you all then. Until then, thank you, Joy.
Have a joyful life.
Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Nice.
You're still on the camera. Oh, am I? Hello, how are you? So cold in here. Yes. Sometimes this little finish button just
hold your forehead. I'm going to keep talking till she figures out how to stop it.
You know what? Maybe I'll just turn this off. Oh, but no, I got to post it.
Oh, yeah. Let me have a look.
I know how. It's just that the button is not working. Those of you who can still hear us, you already know I'm technologically challenged, so actually they can't hear us because they're plugged into the mics.
They can't. Oh, okay.
You have to talk into the microphone. Normally we click this. Maybe your magic.
Doesn't want to finish. We've still got stuff to go. How bizarre. Look at that.
I can get out of here.
So, it seems that upstairs management wants